So if they get up and criticize science, nobody's going to know what they're talking about. But if they get up and really aim their bullets at Tony Fauci, well, people could recognize there's a person there, there's a face, there's a voice you can recognize, you see him on television. So it's easy to criticize. But they're really criticizing science because I represent science. I represent science. And if you're attacking me, you're really attacking science. I mean, everybody knows that. A lot of what you're seeing as attacks on me, quite frankly, are attacks on science. Because all of the things that I have spoken about consistently from the very beginning have been fundamentally based on science. So if you are trying to, get at me as a public health official and a scientist, you're really attacking not only Dr. Anthony Fauci, you're attacking science. And anybody that looks at what's going on clearly sees that. You have to be asleep not to see that. That is what's going on. Science and the truth are being attacked. I'd like to respectfully just correct you for a moment.
Go ahead.
Like I said, when I told you a moment ago, there was the scientific approach, preparedness and response, and the public health preparedness and response. I find it interesting that I'm here responsible for this and trying to defend this.
No, I think you're America's doctor,
Yeah,
Dr.
well,
Fauci.
yeah,
So everyone looks to you to explain it all.
Well, that's true, and I try to explain it to the best of my ability, but there are some things that I can't defend because I'm not responsible for them. Maybe I would have done them differently if I were responsible for them, but if I'm not responsible for them, you want to talk about vaccines? That's what I did. There are very strict guardrails about that I don't think the general public fully appreciates when you have people that can make outlandish statements about things that are just not true.
This is a political football right now.
Oh, it is a total political football. Total.
And you take the fire specifically for this.
I do. All the time.
There's a congressional act with your name on it.
Yes.
Literally.
Exactly. And it's just a lot of, well, anyway.
Finish the thought.
No, there's a lot of politicization of that. And I think there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation, and outright lies about that, and that's really unfortunate.
You're angry about it.
Well, my concern that I keep saying is that my job is to do what I can as a scientist to preserve and protect the health of the American public, and indirectly, in many respects, the health of the world, because our country is a leader in science, a leader in health, a leader in the kinds of things. Where did these vaccines come from that are saving millions of people? They came from us. That's my job. The politicization of it is really unfortunate because, as I've said, I've stayed away from politics my entire life. I am somebody who only cares about science and health. And it is, you're right, it's painful and disturbing to see when you're trying to focus all of your attention on doing what you can do, the way we did to create the vaccines, to develop the drugs, to save millions of lives, and then you have this completely outlandish politicization of it, politicization of everything, politicization of the public health, politicization of the origins, politicization of all of it is really, I think when we look back at this, we're going to say, what were we thinking? What was going on back then? My job has been totally focused on doing what I can with the talents and the influence I had to make scientific advances to protect the health of the American public. So anybody who spends lies and threatens and all that theater that goes on with some of the investigations and the congressional committees and the Rand Pauls and all that other nonsense, that's noise, Margaret. That's noise. I know what my job is.
Senator Cruz told the Attorney General you should be prosecuted.
Yeah. I'd have to laugh at that. I should be prosecuted. What happened on January 6th, Senator?
Do you think that this is about making you a scapegoat to deflect
Of
from
course.
President Trump.
Of course, you have to be asleep not to figure that one out.
Well, there are a lot of Republican senators taking aim at this. I mean,
That's okay. I'm just going to do my job. And I'm going to be saving lives, and they're going to be lying.
it seems another layer of danger to play politics around matters of life and death.
Right, exactly, exactly. And to me, that's unbelievably bad, because all I want to do is save people's lives. That's what I have done for the last 50 years, 37 of which was leading the Institute. And when I see people who scatter around misinformation and lies that can actually endanger the lives of people, but also it is very easy to pick out an individual and make them a target, because that's what people can focus on. But you're talking about systems. You're talking about the CDC. You're talking about the FDA. You're talking about science in general. So if they want to, I mean, anybody who's looking at this carefully realizes that there's a distinct anti-science flavor to this. So if they get up and criticize science, nobody's going to know what they're talking about. But if they get up and really aim their bullets at Tony Fauci, well, people could recognize there's a person there, there's a face, there's a voice you can recognize, you see him on television. So it's easy to criticize. But they're really criticizing science, because I represent science. That's dangerous. To me, that's more dangerous than the slings and the arrows that get thrown at me. I'm not going to be around here forever, but science is going to be here forever. And if you damage science, you are doing something very detrimental to society long after I leave, and that's what I worry about. I mean, anybody who looks at what's going on in the United States, to say there's not a lot of lies become normalized now, and the social media amplifies the normalization of lies. So scientists try to say, this is the truth, and it's based on data. That's what we live by: data, evidence, truth. And then you all of a sudden have permeating in society, it is okay to say anything you want that is patently, obviously wrong. And if you say it long enough and often enough, and you get social media involved, then not everybody, X% of the population starts believing it. See, that's what I worry about more than people throwing slings and arrows at me, because my whole life has been as a scientist, and I identify with the field of health and science. And if you're attacking me, you're really attacking science. I mean, everybody knows that. What we have at our disposal is science, which has led to a highly effective vaccine, and soon to be a number of highly effective drugs. And just phase out everything else. If you get caught up in this nonsense of politicization, you're not going to be able to do your job as well. So that's the reason why when all of these things come in, when they pass a law with my name on it, when Joe Schmo says I should retire, I should go to jail, I look at that and I go, forget that. I know what my job is. When you focus on what your job is, and your job is to save people's lives, you don't have any time to get traumatized. I mean, I just don't have any time to be thinking about traumatizing. I haven't had a day off in 20 months, and it doesn't bother me, because we're doing things that are saving lives. That's really important. That's why I went to medical school, and 50 years later, I'm doing it. I'd have to laugh at that.